Welcome to the ultimate guide to the Follower Dungeons, introduced in patch 10.2.5. Follower Dungeons is a new game mode that allows you to run the Dragonflight dungeons with AI NPCs. This video will break down everything you need to know, from the absolute basics to the stuff that you wouldn't have even thought of. So let's jump into it. What are the Follower Dungeons, and how do I use it? The Follower Dungeons mode allows the player to fill any empty party slots with AI NPCs. Your role and who is in your party changes the NPCs that will be used. There are 4 AI NPCs in total: a tank, which is a protection paladin, a healer, which is a resto druid, and 3 DPS characters: a beastmaster hunter, a fire mage, and an enhancement shaman. Your role will change which party members are active. If you're the tank, you'll have the healer and the DPS. If you're a healer, you'll have the tank and the DPS. And if you're a DPS, you'll have a tank, healer, and 2 other DPS. The 2 other DPS will always be the hunter and the mage, unless you play as one of those. In that case, the shaman will be present. Follower dungeons are not just for solo players. If you have a friend or two, you can all group up and use the AI to fill the remaining roles. Blizzard still wants you to group up and be social, so the more AI NPCs you use, the less experience you receive throughout the dungeon. Each AI NPC will subtract 5% experience when compared to a full party of players. For instance, if 5 players run a dungeon, they receive 100% of the experience from that dungeon. However, if you have 1 AI NPC, you'll receive 95% experience, 2 NPCs, you'll receive 90% experience, 3 NPCs, you'll receive 85% experience, and if you're completely solo, you're earning 80% experience when compared to a full group of other players. Overall, the Follower Dungeons aren't the most ideal way to level, but if you prefer that playstyle, then I just want you to be aware that yes, you are earning less experience. As a final note, you are also limited to the amount of Follower Dungeons that you can do in one day. Each account, not character, is limited to 10 Follower Dungeons every day. As soon as you enter an instance with the followers, it counts against that total, regardless of if you complete the dungeon or not. So how do we get into the Follower Dungeons? In order to use this new mode, you have to be level 60 and have a minimum eye level of 180. If you aren't at 180 and aren't questing, you can purchase a few pieces of gear off the auction house and you should be good to go. You can access this just like queuing up for any other group. Open your group finder menu, either on your taskbar or the default keybind of I, click on the dungeon finder, and navigate to the drop menu. Expand that and choose Follower Dungeons. This will list every Dragonflight dungeon and you can select which one you want to queue for. The queue will pop instantly since it's being auto-filled, so just make sure that you're good to go when hitting search. Now, what can you expect once you're in the dungeon? After it loads, you'll be put at the dungeon entrance. The AI NPCs will hit their party buffs. If the mage is present, they will create a refreshment table for you to grab. Then you have 2 options to start the actual dungeon run. You will notice a new action button appearing. This is the Dungeon Assistance button. This alternates between 2 modes every time you click it. In the blue mode, the AI NPCs will not move unless the player moves. Basically, they follow your lead. And in the orange mode, the AI NPCs will lead the way. They will initiate the pulls and lead you to each boss. Another note here, even with the AI leading the way, if you stop moving, they will not continue pulling more mobs. They will wait for you to move again. So if you have to step away from the PC or Alt-Tab out, you can do so freely without a worry of them continuing without you. You can also toggle this mode whenever you want. There are no restrictions. Some basics of what you can expect from the AI NPCs. The Paladin will pick up extra mobs if you accidentally or purposely pull additional groups. The Mage or Shaman will use Bloodlust or Heroism once you reach a boss. The Tanks and DPS will interrupt abilities that can be interrupted. The AI NPCs will handle mechanics if it requires the party to handle. For instance, the last boss in Brackenhide, the NPCs will swap to the totem. If any NPC dies, they will be rezzed after combat. If for some reason they aren't being rezzed, then just continue onwards and they will randomly reappear after some time. As a final note, the DPS NPCs do not deal a lot of damage, so expect longer battles and having to perform boss mechanics multiple times. Now, let's expand on how the AI performs and what you can expect from them as you play each role. If you are a tank, be mindful of trying to pull really big groups. The healer does a great job of healing, but due to the lower DPS, if the mobs have AoE abilities, it can overwhelm her. If you are the healer, let the tank pull what it does, and if you want more of a challenge, then aggro additional mobs. Again, just keep in mind that the DPS is lower, so pulling too many may cause you to run out of mana if you're dealing with group abilities. If you're playing DPS, you will be the primary damage dealer. Prioritize the most dangerous mobs, which are normally the casters, and any target-specific boss mechanics you need to handle. If you ignore adds, or for instance a mechanic like the totem, there's a good chance the AI doesn't have the damage to handle it efficiently, and you're probably going to wipe. Finally, let's talk about what you can expect when it comes to the loot. Unfortunately, loot is not a guaranteed drop here. There's a chance you'll go through the entire dungeon and not get a single piece. This isn't a bug, this is intentional, so just don't panic over it. Your followers also have repair bills. So now you know all the basics of the follower dungeons, let's talk about maximizing its potential. How can you use it? Number 1, for knowledge. They give you the best way to fully learn the Dragonflight dungeons. You'll get to understand the dungeon layout and which paths you can or should take. You'll get to see each boss's full encounter as you will be performing each mechanic multiple times, and you'll be able to complete the dungeon quests without feeling rushed on reading the quest text or watching a cutscene. Number 2, it lets you see how your current role and interface setup would perform in a party setting. You can also make small adjustments immediately since the AI group doesn't care if you have to spend 5 minutes tweaking some settings. Number 3, it is a great opportunity to try out tanking or healing without the added stress and anxiety of other players. This gives you a great toxic-free environment to learn your abilities, how to control mobs, or to try out your healing keybinds and setup. Number 4, completing dungeon quests late into the expansion can be a royal pain since most groups are just trying to clear as quickly as possible. The follower dungeons allows you to quickly queue up, and then you can ensure that you hit all of the required quest requirements. Number 5, it allows you to test out add-ons in a real but not real situation. Maybe you want to switch to a completely different healing add-on, maybe you have a new weak aura you want to try, or maybe you just found a completely random add-on that might fit your style and want to see it in action. Number 6, it allows you to really set up and perfect your macros. If you experiment with macros at all, you'll know that the training dummies are not the best way to make sure they work correctly. You need a real party situation, and this is the perfect playground. Number 7, it allows you to try out completely new keybinds. Switching your keybinds can really throw off how well you play since you are having to go against your muscle memory. Relearning muscle memory takes multiple repetitions, and these dungeons are perfect for that. Here's a bonus use, and this is for pretty much everybody except mages. Queue up and jump into a follower dungeon. Once inside, the mage will conjure up a refreshment table. Stock up on free food and drinks, and then feel free to leave the dungeon. The food stays, so you get free stacks of mage food for your daily activities. Overall, the follower dungeons gives all types of players a great playground to not only learn the Dragonflight dungeons, but in learning the ins and outs of their class and role. That's it for this video. How are you using the follower dungeons? A huge thanks and shout out to these awesome channel members. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more WoW and MMO content. You can also find more guides, tips and tricks, and cheat sheets on my channel. If you want to support me even more, you can become a channel member for only 99 cents a month. This gives you early ad-free access to all my videos and other exclusive content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.